Hey, Paradox for JuanSource.com. I'm going to be doing an article today, and I'm going to do T-pistols for the two upcoming CEVO amateur maps for playoffs, and that's going to be Dust2 and Russka. Okay, so we'll take care of both maps for the week. So you guys are going to be solid on both those maps. All right. I'm going to go over some key points, and then I'm going to give you what I'm going to call my perfect strat, okay, for T-pistol round. I'm only going to give you one now. Since we have, more and more JuanSource subscribers, you may actually be playing a team that's also going to read this article. So the reason I'm not going to give you maybe two different strats and all this is because on T-pistol, whereas opposed on CT, you don't want to get countered. You don't want the other team to know what you're going to be doing. So I'm going to go with that one strat, give you, you can give or take ideas if you want. You could run the strat how it is. I mean, the strat I'm going to give you is going to be fundamentally solid. It's going to be a good strat, but you may want to take bits and pieces and incorporate them in a strat that you want to do. So either way, whatever you want to give or take, you never really want to risk getting countered like that and whatnot. So getting right into it. Key points for Dust2 on T-pistol round. Number one thing you want to do is going to be to isolate a position. Okay, now if we think about this for a second, normally what teams do is that and the two default setups on Dust2 are going to be a 2-1-2 setup, which is going to put two players at A, normally at long A, one player at middle, and then two players at B. Okay, now on this setup, the two weakest points on the map, well, the weakest point on the map isn't going to be A, because normally they'll leave a position open, like say catwalk, or if they play catwalk, then they'll leave long A open. But on pistol, it may be a little different. Now, with a 2-1-2, okay, you have that one player at middle, and what most teams will do after that B rush is taken care of is that they'll rotate that secondary player. They'll have one player spot in the B site, and then that secondary player will play over at middle. Over at B side and middle, they may spot or they may just crossfire mid, and that's a very common setup, I think, on that most teams will do. Okay, most teams aren't going to play 3 at A on CT pistol. If they do, it's probably going to be a push. Okay, or they may rotate that mid player to A ramp over here, kind of mid to late round. So that's one setup. The other setup, of course, is going to be the 3-2, which I'm talking about right now. Normally, what you're going to see there is going to be the two long A players and then the one player over on A ramp, just kind of spotting catwalk. Okay, that's normally default at that point for a 3-2 setup. I mean, middle is definitely going to be a weakness. But even with a 2-1-2, with that possible crossfire that you have, I want to my strat's going to revolve a little bit around middle. I'm a big fan on pistol round as opposed to gun rounds. You could swarm this mid, with a USB, even 2 USBs. If you get enough manpower coming out this middle, you could score an easy entry kill. You just have to be smart about it. I'll get into that. So isolating a position, that's going to be a key point we're going to have on T-pistol. A second key point is going to be not to get caught off guard. Some teams may try to do pushes. A catwalk boost is pretty popular right here. Say boosting 2 or 3 players catwalk, taking control of the middle really fast, or even pushing long A is pretty popular too. Flashing over and taking control over here, banking on maybe 1 or 2 guys being here, or just having, being unprepared. I've seen that happen too. So definitely don't get off guard with the pushes. Be prepared for an early round push, either catwalk or long A typically, but just all around be aware of what's going on. Third key point I'm going to give is to work an entry, and I kind of touched on this, but working an entry, I think middle is going to be your best bet for doing this against 90% of teams. They're going to play. Their most isolated player is going to be playing at middle. Okay, and that's going to be your most surefire way to get an entry, or work an entry rather. So That's key point number 3, and then key point number 4, and this is going to be the last one, is going to be to stay in a pack. Alright, whatever you do, and you'll see this is kind of what my strat's going to revolve around, is, you know, say you get up catwalk, or say you get an entry middle, and now you want to fall back. Don't have one guy continue up to B and then like 3 people fall back, because that's just like, it's just wasted manpower. You know, you have this one guy run in, and maybe he'll sell a better fake, maybe he'll keep this guy at B and kill him, but maybe he won't. And if he doesn't, then you even the playing field, which you don't even want to risk doing that. I mean, if you do work an entry, or if you do cause a rotation, say, you know, you work up catwalk and now the middle player's rotating, instead of having like one guy go back and get him, or instead of having, you know, one guy work up to A and do something, why don't you just all fall back and have like 4 or 5 guys run over that middle guy who's rotating? That's going to be the most scary way to play. Scary for the other team, that is. You know, just they're always going to be wary of the rotations, and one guy's rotating and bam, just, you know, 4 players coming back at him. He's not going to be in a good place. So that's going to be key point number 4, is to stay in a pack. Alright, and these are map specific. You know, they do kind of apply to every map, but for this it especially applies to Dust2, and I'm going to have another key point on Russka that's going to be a little different. So, alright, going straight into the strat. Your buys are going to be 2 players with USPs and flashes. Okay, now I'm a big fan of buying a USP, evening up the range, and also the grenade game. A lot of teams don't expect a lot of nades to be bought on Piss Around. I'm a fan of having number 1 the range with the USP, instead of buying, you know, one player with just a ton of nades. You have sort of that utility guy with the USP. He could play long range, he could pick off, and then he has either a grenade or a flash, okay, or even a smoke grenade, but usually a grenade or a flash. So yeah, sorry, tangent. So going back, yeah, you have 2 players with USP flashes, and then you're going to have everyone else with Glock armor. And what this strat is going to be is that you're going to have 1 player sit outside long. Now I'd say one of the Glock armors sit outside long. You may even want to drop the bomb out here. Okay, I wouldn't put the bomb on the guy, but you know, that may be a little risky in the case they push along A. But probably the safest bet is going to be to put the bomb somewhere over in the T spawn area. Okay, maybe behind this car or something like that. Somewhere it can't really be seen too well either. So that's going to be 1 player right here with a Glock armor, just holding long pushes. I recommend maybe playing this spot right here, maybe even playing further back. I mean, I'm not really a fan of playing to this side of the door. It's usually too obvious, and people come out looking here most of the time too. If you are going to do this, also, you know, you could get blind. That's going to be a problem. If you are going to do this, maybe play a little bit of an angle on it, okay, and get that burst fire going, get that, you know, that dink right away, so they can't hit you back. Alright, otherwise, you know, just pick whatever spot you want, whatever you think is going to be safest, and it's gonna you know, guarantee you an entry kill if they push. Okay, either an entry kill or you staying alive, one of the 2. So that's going to be 1 Glock armor at long. You're going to have one of the USP flash people coming up towards middle, and I'd wait for a grenade over here at the palm tree. A lot of teams like to use that. You may even want to pick middle in the beginning of this guy with the USP, because I think you have the advantage right here. Okay, you could get some entry damage. Most teams picking don't expect that USP, and then and get a little cocky picking that middle. Alright, so this USP flash guy is going to work down the middle. Okay, you don't have to do it right away, but be rather quick about it. Okay, and then I'd say you want to hold over here at the green box, maybe spotting middle once your other teammates who are going to go lower B get there. So yeah, you're going to be up here, and then you're eventually going to swing wide, and I'll tell you what you do in a second, what that person does. So the other 3 people, 2 Glock armors, and the second USP flash is going to go over to B tunnel. And you guys, once you get in, I'd say you probably want to walk. You don't really want to make too much noise here, or sell B fake, not really necessary. But you could mix it up if you want. Just don't get committed to B. What you're going to do is these 3 players are going to get down to lower B. Okay, you may even want to wait out the timings for the nades on catwalk. So you may want to you may want to throw the timings off a little bit in case teams are timing that lower B nade, like say, you know, the rush to B tunnel to the lower B, and they're waiting here with, you know, to nade that lower B. You may just want to throw the timing off a little bit and do it sort of at a random timing. Tends to be a lot more effective, so a lot safer. So 3 people are going to be really close over here on lower. What you guys want to do is set up really close, and then that mid player is going to come out, USP flash, toss one over. Alright, so just really simply, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then 3 players are going to explode out middle, clear close spots and everything like that. Now, what you're doing here with these 3 players, and the 4th player too, with the USB, should probably come out, or you know, he could even sit back and cover catwalk. Either way, what you're trying to do here on middle is you're trying to work an entry. Now, what I mean by work an entry is you don't have to get it. It's not necessary. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're gonna risk more than it's worth. Okay, risk more than the reward could be. So by working the entry, what I mean is you're going to work up, maybe try to catch somebody playing close here. You know, many people will play kind of close on this angle here, and you may be able to catch this guy falling back, put a ton of pressure on him, even if you don't kill him. So you run out middle, nothing CT spawn, and then you run out mid, and maybe you catch an entry here close up. Great. If not, you maybe catch a guy running back and he goes in the door or something like that. Do not chase that guy, alright? And don't chase anybody in the CT spawn either, because at this point what happens here, this is going to be kind of the fake part of the strat. It's more than a fake because you're working an entry too, but it doubles as a fake. And what's gonna happen here is most teams who are gonna play long A or even catwalk are gonna drop at least one guy, or they're gonna turtle up a little bit, and they're gonna try to cover. You know, they're going to try to crossfire that middle. They're going to try to turtle up in B most of the time and come from long A and crossfire you guys coming out mid, flash over, whatnot. So you're going to cause a lot of chaos simply by coming out mid and pushing this mid guy off. Alright, if you get, you know, if this guy gets a great shot and gets one entry, that's alright. Most of the time that's not going to happen. So come out, do what you can, push the guy off at the least, work that entry. Don't go past this point. This is kind of the point where after you peek this door, alright, you're still kind of open over here to this ramp. You want to peek this, and you just want to all fall back really quickly. At this point, once it's known that you're not going to get this, you know, once the guy falls back and you'd have to sit out here, if it comes to that point, like try to sit out here and frag the guy, it's not worth it anymore. Take a few shots, fall back, all 3 players fall back, 3 or 4, and you guys are going to work over into an ace split. Okay, ace split meaning I'd send 1 player catwalk. If you have 5 alive, I'd send 1 player catwalk. If you have 4 alive, I'd just take everybody long A. Alright, so 4 players guaranteed at long A. If you have less than that, then I'm gonna assume you did something wrong, or you know, you got unlucky because with a middle stack. So but yeah, so 4 players long A. You could even send 5, but I'm a fan of just sending, you know, at that point, once you have that fake set and everything like that, even an entry, you may just want to send 1 guy over to catwalk, because this is going to make life a lot easier for the long A players too. So I just send the Glock guy over here, and just work up and see what you can do. And then the other 4 players, the main force, you know, is going to go back from middle along with this guy over here. This guy's going to grab the bomb who's holding outside, and you guys are going to take long. Now, one important thing about this guy at long is going to be for him to listen. Okay, listen early round. Nades come in, alright, they're playing long A, you know, you have info. So you're going to want to know as best as possible. You know, you may not know for sure, but you want to know as best as possible if they're playing long, and make an assumption. I mean, they didn't pre-nade, or you know, this guy doesn't hear anything, you know, he doesn't hear him playing up, then likely that the other team's not playing long A, very likely. So at that point, you know how to use that second flash shot you have with the USP guy, and you could just run out here, take control of this long A. If they are playing long, you may just want to do a flash early, but I'd recommend that you keep it for later, because that middle fake is very likely to draw these long players. Even if they are playing here, it's likely to draw them back. So I'd just go ahead and run out, you know, 4 or 5 players, just boom, run out, frag out, Alright, get a lot of just keep the pressure on. I mean, don't let him breathe here is kind of the key. Once you get out this door, even if you get spotted, you know, say a player pit or something like that, clear your spots and all that. Keep running at this guy. This guy has a USP, has 12 bullets. You know, he could peek in and out, and he could take shots, but you have 4 or 5 people running in on him. If he keeps his head peaked like that, he's going to get headshotted by somebody. And if he just peeks in and out, he's going to run out of ammo and time. Okay, so there's no reason not to just run this guy down. So if there's somebody pit, just run this guy down and tear him apart. Okay, if there's somebody close at the angle, same thing. Just run them down, tear them apart. If they're still crossfiring, same thing. And just tear both of the guys apart, you know, and try to be coordinated. Really unlikely that 2 players are going to still be here after that middle, but you know, 1 player may be here. What's most likely though is that there's going to be somebody top over here. Okay, just kind of spotting, or maybe down in the CT spawn, either A site or CT spawn. So really what you want to do here, you have 2 ESPs working on this. You have a little bit of an advantage, but you do want to peek this, and then I'd say you don't want to do this flash too early. If you get contact, that's the point you want to do it, or a point where you're about to enter the site, because if you do it too early, the other team gets tipped off. They can rotate, they can nade this cross before you get across, you know, and that's going to cause problems. So use that flash really smart. You really want to know when to use it. So contact, go ahead and toss in, just run up as soon as you can. Careful to clear spots too. If you don't get contact, you may just want to run up and do it a little later. Okay, do something like that and just blind the whole site. Run up, take control. Okay, and at this point, if you do not have cat control, you want to be wary of the long plant. You do want to try to get a long plant off, but if it's too risky, you know, if you have low time and you don't have cat control, you may just want to go with the safe plant. Most of the time you're going to go with the long plant anyway though, because you could just post those USPs and make them afraid to peek. So get that plant down, and at this point I'd say have at least 1 USP at long A. If you have cat control, great. I mean, that's almost a guaranteed round win. That's why I like sending that 1 player there. But if not, you're going to have to control from A ramp and long A and just delay as much as possible. At this point, depending on how many entries you have, you probably don't want to try to take control catwalk. It's just really not worth the risk. So you could just get a whatever plan off and defend it. You know, just trying to delay and quick peek spawns and all that, and stay alive. So that's going to be the strat. I mean, pretty much, you know, to recap, it's going to be a middle explode, if you will. Try to work an entry, fall back really quickly. Don't get caught up here. Don't get picked off. 1 player holding outside long A. So it's pretty much just a mid explode really quick into really quick A strat. Okay, into a 4-1 split on A. Okay, so that's what the strat is. Alright, so that's a Dust2. You have your key points, you have that 1 strat. I mean, give and take ideas if you want, use the strat if you want, whatever you want to do. If your opponents are foolish enough not to subscribe to JuanSource, then you could just use the full strat. Alright, so gonna go over to Russka, not burn too much of your guys' time. Alright, so we're gonna do Russka now. And the key point on Russka, besides everything else, is going to be to take away the other team's spotting ability and take away the effectiveness of their grenades. Okay, that's going to be the main thing you can do. If you could do those 2 simple things, you're going to win T-Pistol on this map. All right, so getting right into the strat, it's going to be pretty much a fake from B over to A. Alright, and I'm a big fan of control points on this map too. You know, we talk about this a lot, but on T-Pistol, taking away their spotting, you know, say you know what most teams are going to try to do is, you know, maybe spot the upper or something like that. You know, spot the lobby and spot over here at the trail. Okay, and then maybe even spot over here at the halls. Most teams are just going to try to do something like that and try to figure out where the other team's going to go. You know, oh, there's some action here, so you know, maybe they'll go here and you know, fall back, and if they see a rush, maybe grenade. and be prepared for it that way. If you could take that away, I mean, think about taking all that away, and now players have to play over here, you know, back here in the halls, or off of trail back here, right? And you know, they're still going to be spotting lobby, but maybe they can't spot upper anymore. So if you're able to take away all that, the other teams pretty much, you know, the CTs are going to have no idea where you're going to go until you go there, if you play, you know, if you play the strat right after that. So that also makes them really susceptible to fake. Okay, so doing that, it's going to be really important, and I'm going to incorporate that in the strat. So your buy, going to be a pretty standard buy, except for, okay, scratch that. Not really going to be too much of a standard buy. It's going to be 3 USPs that you're going to have on this pistol round. Now you could, you know, you don't have to use that idea, but I prefer it just for the fact that you're going to be a bigger threat to the people spotting that way. So what you're going to do is take control of upper A, one player. Now there's debate on this, how you want to do, how you may do this. You know, most of the time what I'd say is to take control of this lobby, but since you're going to have most of your, you know, most of your force may not be going here, you may just want to take control from the middle into the lobby. What I'm going to recommend on the strat though is to have one of your USPs. You're going to have I'd say, you know, you could buy 2 USP nades and 1 USP flash, and then the other 2 guys are probably going to be Glock armor or whatever they're comfortable with, but usually Glock armor. So so one of the USP nades should probably hold down here at the ramp, hold any sort of early push, that way you can back off. That normally will disrupt the strat a little bit that I'm going to go through, because you know, with control lobby you're going to have to retake control. You're probably going to get in the gunfights here and get entries. It's going to change the whole dynamics of the strat. So be wary of that. So you're going to have one player down there, and then I would say 3 players coming over from the middle. So another one of your USP nades is going to be over here in the mid, just kind of spotting. You could even get on the spindle early on and spot. You don't have to take this right away. You know, not that important to take control of mid right away. If you do see a push and spot and all that, you know, somebody push a Z connector or something like that, you're going to want to deal with that as well and try to eliminate that guy. Okay, but it's going to kind of work with your strat anyways. So eventually what you want to work into, okay, you're also going to have your 2 Glock armors here, your 2 Glock armors and your one of your USP nade guys, so 3 people here. You're going to try to work over. Okay, the USP nade is going to go down here. And of course you want to spot out. If there's a push, you want to send your Glock armors this way too. By the way, if there isn't, then they're gonna just go through middle. But USP nade, just, you know, just spot the upper out. If there's no pushers, you know, focus your attention there, and then you're gonna eventually work over to the Z connector. Now, at this point, the 2 Glock armors should be working up too. Should be working up over to this side and getting ready for an explode. You could even creep up, try to keep a similar angle against the peak. You know, both guys, maybe one guy creeping under the other guy. That way you get that entry kill if that guy peeks. Now, these 2 guys aren't going to peek. They're going to let the USP nade do the work over here. Right? So this guy with the USP nade, if you could catch somebody spotting, you know, you're going to get in a little bit of a gunfight. I'm not a fan of trying to, you know, on gambling that gunfight, because he's going to have USP, you're going to have USP. It's going to be 50-50. So really what you want to do is get the nade off. That's going to be the key here. It's going to be to get that grenade, and you want to get that grenade in a way so it won't land behind this fence right here. You want it to land somewhere where it's going to hit anybody peeking the angle right here. So really what you can do, and some players may even spot an angle, kind of, you know, only this angle. They may not even peek this connector. What you want to try to work into is so you could run up and get that grenade. See, that wasn't deep enough, but so you could get that grenade to hit that guy, and that's almost guaranteed. You know, that may be a little better. Okay, to toss it maybe towards the side of the fence right here, have it explode here. What this is going to do is anybody that's playing here either is going to take a ton of damage or they're going to have to fall off, and this is your timing to explode around this corner. Alright, because that guy's disrupted, and if he does want to re-peek, most of the time off that grenade, at this point he's not going to see people coming around the corner. There's really no reason for him to counter nade or counter flash. It just doesn't really make sense for him to do that because a grenade came in from Z connector. So if he doesn't want to re-peek, he's going to be peeking into 3 players on him, and he's going to be in a ton of trouble. He's not going to expect that. If he does, even if he hears you running up, like say he gets here and now he hears you guys running, and he tries to get a grenade off, he's not going to have enough time to fall back, because you're at this point, by the time he tosses that nade, you guys are going to be pretty much like on the stairs. So you're going to run through that nade or flash or whatever it is and run him over. Okay. So this is going to be what you're doing at the halls here. You know, lead with that USP nade at the Z connector, and then 2 Glock armors around the corner right here, ready to explode, and run this guy over. Now remember, this is going to be a fake. You don't want to get over committed to the fake. Alright, if you get 2 entries, I'd say scratch just scratch the fake and take the site and plant. But that's just going to be your in-game adaptation. Most of the time you're just going to want to run with the strat how it is. Get 1 entry kill, and then maybe go over and get a plant on the A site, okay, and continue with the strat like I mean it to. So you have your 1 player over at the A lobby, you have 3 players, you know, working at halls, and your last guy with the USP flash is going to work over here. Okay, work over to the trail. Now here what you want to do is pretty much just get up to the box and you know, work any angle here, work any USP trying to spot down, try to work them off, and then work your way up the trail. Okay. Also be wary of pushes here. Some teams may want to do that, so you may want to stay in the garage a little longer so you kind of scope out what's going to happen, and then work up. Okay. You do want to be relatively quick though. Work in line sort of with your halls players too. So you're going to work up, right, and clear your angles, quick peek all these angles, push anyone that may be playing here off. And this is going to be the one exception, the one time I'm going to have a dedicated faker on T-Piss around. Okay, it's going to be this trail guy. Alright, so whatever happens at the halls, you know, you guys push this guy off, you get an entry, you don't get an entry, whatever, these guys are gonna fall back. But the trail guy is going to continue, and he's going to kind of work in line. Also, if you do, you know, decide to take the B side instead, this guy's here to put a little added pressure from the other side. You know, and he also opens up that possibility of, you know, let's just take the B site. Why not? You know, we got a couple entries. Boom. So the best thing to do here is once you get close up, just do like a flash kind of like that, and that'll blind pretty much the whole site. It'll blind the ramp. Nobody too far deep on the ramp. It may not blind this guy completely, but for the most part it'll get, you know, it'll pretty much get just like everyone playing around this area. So so you're gonna do that and then just explode and try to run in. And the best thing to do, I think, here, especially if you're faking, is to try to get on this ramp, alright, and cause chaos that way. Like, get on this ramp and maybe even into CT spawn. Alright, and this is gonna just put a ton of pressure on the other team and make them worry about you a lot. Okay, so that's gonna be your trail guy. I mean, not really, you know, not really the most important thing in the world, but if you can get an entry over here, it makes the strat that much better. If you could get down to the ramp and stay alive a bit, even, you know, you don't even need an entry. You just stay alive and kind of keep control of the site. You're gonna cause a lot of chaos. The fake's gonna work really, really well that way. So at this point, okay, what the strat's designed to do, the way I designed it, is to have these 3 players then fall back. Alright, and by the way, this guy over here at the lobby, what he wants to do is try to get across. Alright, try to get across, just work across, stay alive, and get over to the upper side. Alright, so once the guy gets to the upper side, okay, what's going to happen is he's going to want to keep control of this. Alright, try to do this as soon as possible too. Of course, you know, wait maybe 5 seconds for the rush, then work your way over really quickly. You don't really want to get into too many fights here, you know, maybe kind of spot out what's going on, and then you want to cross against this wall because it just kind of jump across against this wall, and that's going to close, you know, most of the angles that you could get shot at. You may take a little damage, but I think the lobby control, you know, having this guy control the lobby that way early round is going to be worth, you know, it's going to be the benefit, you know, outweighs the risk. So this guy that's holding the lobby, you want to work up over to this upper, still with your grenade, and then you want to work angles, right? You're going to be at a big advantage here playing with the USP behind these stairs. This guy's only going to really be able to see your head for the most part. Stay close, and then once you work that guy off the angle, you want to toss a grenade. Okay, so you spot that guy there. Even if you don't, you may want to just if you don't spot it, you may want to nade to the left here. If you do spot that guy, just nade it, and then you may just want to hold back here. Alright, so what some teams may do, they may get tricky and try to play a guy over here, over in this area. If they do, you don't really want to give that guy an opportunity to get you, so you don't really want to run up and risk this. You may be able to get an entry kill, but if you're doing an A fake, an entry kill over at A isn't really the best thing. So I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, like an entry kill is never bad, but the whole idea just makes it not worth the risk. So just staying back here, you know, kind of being aware of your left side and just peeking down if you haven't killed that guy. Keeping control of this upper this way is going to be the best thing to do. You definitely want to keep your movement going. You could just let him know that you're here. It doesn't really matter, and maybe this guy will get greedy and peek you. Okay, and in that case, normally you're going to have the better shot on this guy. Okay, as long as you're aware, you're ready, and you're using your movement, this guy's going to have no shot on you, and then you have the advantage after that. So that's what that lobby guy's going to do, and try to work that relatively quick too. Your timings may be a little off at first. This is definitely a strat. You want to dry run and get your timings down. And then you know, maybe run and practice and see kind of, alright, you know, if they push here, here's how the timing's affected, or, you know, really a lot of responses that have to happen depending on what happens, so depending on what the other team's doing. So so after that, I'd say, you know, just make sure this guy can get over to the upper before you're doing your B fake. You don't really want to be working that upper A after the B fake, because that's just gonna, you know, that obviously just says, hey, that was a B fake and we're running back, we're going A. So you want to get this guy control early on before that B fake happens, and then do that B fake. So make sure your timing works that way. Okay, so that's the lobby guy that's coming up over here. It may take a little bit of time, so you may have to delay the strat a little bit. Okay, it may not run through with everything. So that just gives you time to hold pushes and whatnot too, so it's not that big a deal. So you have your trail guy, explain what he's doing, and I hope I'm giving you a seizure flying around so much. So the other three players are going to fall back, okay, and they're just going to simply drop down. They're going to have the bomb, and they're going to drop down, and bam, just plow that lower A. I think would be the best thing to do. At this point, the upper A player wants to start going too, and you guys can just go lower A, bam, get in the sight, clear spots. At this point, probably going to be only one player over here at the A, and one player in spawn. Okay, really weaken this A site. Once you get a plant here, the reason I'm a fan of planting here is once you get that plant, that upper player can just win 1-on-2s, 1-on-3s, just peeking that bomb and being smart with his peeks and staying alive. So you don't have to fake over to A. Strat can end by you guys just taking a B take, whatever you want to do. But you know, I'm giving you kind of this extra element over to, you know, with the fake over back to the A side, so you can see whatever works better for you. I do see a few problems here that may occur if the other team doesn't rotate, or if you're not able to get an entry kill, and if the fake's not good enough over that at the B side, you may have a little bit of trouble taking this A side. I think it's a better bet anyway, taking this A side, so try it first, and then if it doesn't work out, you could just work kind of like with a B strat, like I was talking about. So just continue into the B strat, maybe put that other guy, send them over to trail and do like a 3-2 split or something like that. So that's going to be it. I mean, to recap, It's going to be, your buys are going to be 2 USP nades and a USP flash, 1 USP nade down over here on the ramp. 3 people through the middle. Take your time a little bit. You know, get up on the spindle. Let that lobby guy, you know, spot pushes early on. 2 Glock armors over here, and the the second USP nade over in middle. 3 players. Glock armors move up here in middle. I'd say send the bomb with these guys too. That guy from middle is going to work over here to the catwalk, spot the upper out really quickly, work over to the Z connector, toss the grenade. At this point, everyone explodes around the corner. Bam, just go. Either continue on the B site or fake it, take it back to A. 5th guy is going to be trail, USP flash. He's going to be spotting out, working up, working his way up no matter what happens in the strat really. And he's just going to try to get in, flash off the wall or however you want to do it, and try to enter, try to get on the ramp, try to cause a ton of pressure, maybe even get an entry. Okay, so that's going to be the strat. Overall, it's just going to be a B fake. Alright, it's going to be a control strat, hold pushes, push them off spotting angles, and then fake B, work into an A strat. Okay, that's going to be the whole strat. So that's going to be that. Like I said, you know, you could take bits and pieces, take ideas, make your own strat. You could try my strats, you know, try my Dust2 pistol, my Russka pistol, see how it works for you. And definitely give me some feedback too. I'd love to see how your guys' experiences are with these 2 pistols. If you try them, you know, let me know kind of how they go, any problems you run into. Definitely helps me out, helps everybody out. So definitely please give your feedback. Besides that, good luck in CEVO playoffs. If you're in, if you're not, I mean, you get a couple T pistols. I've gotten requests for these anyway to do T pistols, so I'm gonna start doing this, you know, kind of map by map and go through. But these are the 2 maps for CEVO playoffs, and good luck to everybody. Good luck to you guys. So I'll see you guys next time. Let me know what else you need, and I'll be doing Inferno next time for what I believe is going to be round 7 of CEVO playoffs. So I'll see you guys next time.